Your live update is starting now. We have a slight risk of severe weather that's coming up tonight. Damaging wind, some hail, and the potential for some heavy rain and lightning is going to be our main impact potential from the thunderstorms we are anticipating for the overnight hours. So we're going to take a look at when we expect this. Again, the timing is going to be, well, it's updated a little bit, which is interesting, or didn't update. Hello, technology. We'll start with the intro and we'll come back to this graphic. Hey there, Coastal Bend. It's meteorologist Carly Smith. Your time now is 10:25 a.m. and we are breaking down your severe weather risk. It is going to be a potentially stormy night. Now, there's a lot of caveats to this forecast. So while there is a chance of severe weather, that does not mean there is a guarantee of severe weather. I cannot guarantee that you will see damaging wind gusts. I hope nobody does, if I'm being honest. But we want to make sure you're aware and ready for the potential of severe weather. I think that is the best way to kind of explain my job and my role as a meteorologist to help you get prepared for these kind of events. So we'll talk about when we expect the strongest storms, the arrival times, the impact, and everything you may need to know. So right now, we'll take a look at that timeline as the graphic starts to load. But this is our stationary boundary that's hanging out right around San Antonio, somewhere between like San Antonio and Beeville. It is stalling out and kind of chilling. It's going to hover back and forth to the north, but the timeline for us does look like we'll be more active as we head into the overnight hours. Overall, a very low chance of rain today, but areas off to the west, so freer up toward Tilden, not quite reaching Tilden, but into portions of McMullen County and then definitely into Webb County. We are watching this strong storm near Encino, and that one does have a chance for some hail in the area. So we are seeing a lot of lightning and a lot of hail. This is in Webb County again. So technically out of KIII country, but still a storm we are watching, and it may actually play a role in how our weather develops later on tonight. So that might be interesting to see. But these storms, they kind of formed in the wake. The cold front kind of stalled, and then we had energy kind of coming off the outflow boundary of the storms that passed through overnight, and that kind of allowed these storms to form. So this is going to show the last 6 hours. So you see the cold front is going to be right about here. A little bit north, it digs south as these storms are forming. So that's actually a little too low. I think the cold front is right about here. This is where the front kind of stalled out this morning and allowed those storms to form in the wake of all the energy that is still hanging out to our west. So the brush country to Laredo and the Rio Grande Valley, especially there near Laredo, so the Rio Grande River in that area, they didn't see the storm. So they didn't see the cooler air. They're still unstable heading into the morning. Unlike us, where our temperatures fell about 10 degrees. And so these storms developed right along the front in that area as the sun came up. That's something we will be watching potentially happening in the Coastal Bend tomorrow morning. That's one of the caveats to this tricky forecast for us. But this is the latest loop of our 6-hour radar. Now, I want to take a look at our satellite radar data. So you can see these storms have formed and they're creating cloud coverage that spans far beyond where the rain is. So you do see that cloud extending up towards San Antonio, Gonzales, Carson City, and then we have some scattered clouds and some isolated to scattered rain showing up between Freer and George West, right? So all of these clouds are going to work to keep the atmosphere a little bit more stable as we head into the afternoon. Meanwhile, in Corpus Christi, San Patricio County, Raffario County, Bee County, Jim Wells County, Claver County, not so much Brooks County, but Kennedy County, we are all sunny now. And that sun is heating us up and it's producing what is known as CAPE, convective available potential energy. So energy comes from a heat source. Our heat source is the sun. And so therefore, if it's sunny, we're going to have more heat and we're going to have more potential for storms. But these storms are going to form in an area north of these clouds that are over Mexico. So around the Del Rio to the Big Bend area, this is where we are anticipating the thunderstorms to form. It is sunny there. These storms will form, they will move into this area that may be a little bit more stable, so that would give them a chance to weaken if they aren't strong enough on their own before they move into the coastal bend. So again, that's caveat number 2 to this forecast that I just want everyone to be aware of. Forecasting weather in South Texas is not easy, let me tell you that. But these are just all the signs that I'm picking up on as we head into our severe weather risk. Now, we are looking at the big state, the Lone Star State, the big picture is what I meant to say. And you see that stationary boundary draped across the area there where the thunderstorms fired up there along Interstate 35. And this is our current setup. But where we are anticipating storms to form later on today is going to be that Big Bend area. So let's talk about why this area has a slight level 2 risk of severe weather. That means it's still an isolated to widely scattered chance of a severe thunderstorm. I want to emphasize when we're looking at this severe weather risk map versus a watch versus a warning real fast. So on the severe weather risk map, what we are seeing is an area where there is the potential for strong to severe thunderstorms to develop. This is where we are seeing all the signs, all of the ingredients in the atmosphere, the potential for all of the ingredients. But they're not playing out just yet. There's forecast data suggesting that it will play out, but it's not happening in this moment. It is an outlook. It is a possibility. Then, once the ingredients are showing up on our data, once we're getting temperatures are hot enough, the dew point is high enough, so there's plenty of moisture, the temperatures are plenty warm, and then we're seeing clouds developing in ways that show signs of convection. We have gathered balloon data. Once all the pieces start coming together, that's when the Storm Prediction Center will issue, with local National Weather Service chapters, a watch. So once the watch is issued, that means your chances have gone from potential to likely. So that would be like a low chance to now a higher chance. Your probability has improved if there is a watch issue. But that still just means we see all the ingredients in the atmosphere. Check to CAPE, check to wind shear. Wind shear is important for spinning motion that helps support updrafts and does provide a chance for tornadoes. But a stronger updraft also produces more hail. A stronger updraft taps into jet stream winds that can then be brought down within the downdraft and gust out of the storm. So all of those ingredients are there. We have CAPE, we have moisture, we have wind shear, and we have lift. A lift comes with a front or a boundary, a cold front, a dry line, a trough, an outflow boundary, a leftover outflow boundary. All of these things are needed to help get a storm to boost over what would be known as the cap. If you've watched any storm coverage from storm chasers, even Twister, I believe, references this, but the storms have to bust the cap. They have to break through the cap. And in order to do that, a lot of times, so what the cap is kind of an inversion or a layer in the atmosphere that prevents the clouds from rising all the way to the top. Once the cap is broken, then you get your thunderstorms. It's kind of like when you pop open a bottle of champagne, right? And it goes everywhere. That's essentially like the cap breaking off. So that is what we are watching for the potential of later on today. I hope that makes sense. But one more thing before I get off this tangent, warning would be the next. So once you get your storm growing and you have a thunderstorm, then once it shows signs of producing 60-mile-per-hour winds, an inch hail, or has a tornado, that's when you would get a warning. Or it shows signs that this storm will do it soon based on our radar technology and our radar imagery. So once the storm is active and present and in the area and strengthening, that's when you get a warning. When it's going to move into your area and impact you, that is the warning. So all of these things leading up to the warning is big picture, and the warning is a little picture. That's your home, that's your house, that's your city, right? So The warning is the most important, but it happens the fastest. The storm is already there once you get a warning. So we try to do all these other things so you're just aware that you may need to be on the lookout for the potential of a weather warning to be issued later on today. And that was a long tangent. I hope that makes sense. Everyone is just wanting to know, will this hit my house? And the question is, it's not that, or the answer is, it's not that simple. Our risk continues into Wednesday, and actually that yellow is more so for the developing storms. Our risk really intensifies overnight and into Wednesday morning. So this is the current radar, and we're gonna pair it up now with how the forecast model is doing. So it's not great, it's not perfect. There's the radar, there's our forecast model. So it has some convection along the front, but not a lot, right? But this convection is anticipated to weaken a bit. And then as that happens, South Texas really starts to heat up. So the colors I have on here, I don't have a color table to show you, but what I do have, this is CAPE. So that color table, the yellow, the orange, and the red, that's higher levels of CAPE. CAPE is convective available potential energy, and that is what we need for a storm to grow. You start seeing that convective available potential energy getting boosted as the sun is out. So that's why cloud coverage is going to really damper the potential for some of that CAPE. This model, I think, kind of tapping into that closer to San Antonio. So I would say that's a little farther north than where the storm is actually set up, but you do see the CAPE having a gap in it, which probably is a good indication of those storms. It kind of closes the gap as we head into the afternoon and then the evening. Again, Big Bend, that's the target zone. If you're wanting to see if weather will come our way or not, around 3 to 6 p.m., check out the radars that are in the Big Bend area. If there's storms there, then those storms are likely going to ride the stationary boundary into South Texas. The caveat, there's some weakening in this model data, right? That could be from the storms that have developed now. It could be from just our inflow of moisture coming off the Gulf, kind of fighting the storms. You need the Gulf moisture to fuel the storms, but there's a lot of different little caveats. A lot of times our storms do kind of weaken as they approach the Gulf. And essentially that, I think the inflow out produces the rear inflow, the drier air, and then it just kind of chokes itself out and it dies. But I want to emphasize, if this squall line doesn't die, it is going to produce some strong winds. And also, as thunderstorms die out or weaken, all that energy that the updraft has put at the top falls to the surface, and that's how you can get downburst or gust fronts that come out of the storm, and they produce some pretty strong winds at that point in time. So if storms are weakening over our area, our wind threat is going to be higher. And so I think our wind threat is greatest here. The hail threat is going to be higher as these storms are getting going while the sun is still out. And so as they're more isolated cells, hail threat is higher. As it becomes more of a squall line, our wind threat is going to be higher. Notice as these storms kind of weaken, what's probably happened is there's an outflow boundary that just kind of takes over the area. That outflow boundary will be cooler, rain-cooled air moving into that hot environment where the CAPE is highlighted. As the rain-cooled air mixes with that warm, humid air, you can get more thunderstorms or new thunderstorms to develop. And so that's really what we have a chance of happening. Exactly who sees the weakening storm and who sees the potential of new storms forming. Again, it's not an exact science. I can't say exactly where that's going to happen, but everyone in the coastal bend has an opportunity of one of these storms hitting you. If you want to know an exact forecast, you're gonna have to tune in to the 10 o'clock news. That still won't even be exact. It'll still be a forecast at that point in time. So watching the live radar coverage of storms is when you get to know exactly, is this storm going to hit me or will it not? By the time we get to 10, 11, 12, you see that squall line has now reached the Gulf. Our CAPE has lowered. We're now seeing more green, which means our atmosphere is much more stable. Even when we see yellow, we have southeast winds that are going to return pretty quickly. That's just our natural warm humid air. Every CAPE scenario doesn't mean we're going to get storms developing because we have CAPE, right? We don't always have the boundary, and that's another reason why those storms will weaken. If that stationary boundary is too far north, but these storms still move into our area, they're going to weaken. They need to tap into one of these boundaries, so they're going to all go away from the dry line because of the upper level forcing, and they're going to go a little bit to the south and east because of the upper level forcing. But additionally, the further away these storms get from the stationary boundary, which is going to lift back north as a warm front tomorrow afternoon, the weaker they're going to get as well, because we don't have that additional boost or lift. So as we head into Wednesday evening, we get some more dry line activity. I'm not anticipating those showers or storms to make it into our area. So again, just to highlight the key parts of this potential severe weather event, we've got tonight for Wednesday a.m., 3 a.m. to 12 p.m. Someone said, are we live stream tonight? That's going to depend on how the storms form. So if there is severe thunderstorms, definitely we will have a live stream up. If they're not severe, there's just thunderstorms like we had last night, we will not have a live stream up. So if we have a live stream up, you should know these are important storms. If we don't have a live stream up, they're just normal thunderstorms. They may produce some wind. Last night we had 50 to 60 mile per hour winds, but 60 mile per hour and greater is a severe thunderstorm. And so that's when you get more significant damage, and that's when we do live streams. Under 60 miles per hour, you can still have some minor damage, but it tends to be less likely to have big impacts or life-threatening impact to the region. So 60 mile per hour plus, a little bit more intense, potentially impacting life and property. Less than 60 miles per hour doesn't get a warning, but could still pack a punch, right? But shouldn't be super impactful. Chad, I do not know when the power is coming back on. That's a question for AEP, and it will depend on what the problem is, what the storm did. Was it a lightning strike? Was it a transformer? What part of the electric system is messed up? So, yes. Justin says it's Taco Tuesday. Anyway. Yeah, this is your severe storm kind of impact and need. Keep up to date with the forecast. Like I said, watching the 5, 6, and 10 o'clock news, at least one of them will have you more prepared for what's coming our way. Because again, there's a lot of caveats. There's a chance we see nothing. There's a chance we see something really big and impactful. And it's a lot of moving parts to the weather and makes it really complicated. But what you need to know is there is a chance. We have all of the signs and indications of the potential for some pretty strong storms. Upper level energy. This is where I get the timing. So heading into tonight, midnight, this is when I first start to see that upper level energy that will help fuel storms if they can get up into the upper level energy. So CAPE is our surface-based energy. This is an upper level energy that comes from spinning conditions or vorticity in the atmosphere that helps boost storms that have developed. So we get that upper level energy and it hangs out until about noon. So midnight to noon, we have the energy that would help produce storms or help keep storms going if they do form. You see that high pressure ridge starts to build a bit into Thursday, Wednesday into Thursday. So that should limit our storm activity the next couple of days. Here's our 7-day forecast next. I'm going to end on this. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, put it in the comment section. And we'll see you potentially overnight. We will be live streaming if there are warnings in play. So I'll see you then if we have warnings. For now, I'm meteorologist Carly Smith, and I'm signing off.